Ladies and gentlemen, in the immortal words of Bruce Buffer, we are live with another episode of Jofo in the Ring. I am the harbinger of truth, Jeremy Prophet, but you already knew that. More importantly than all that, I am being joined by a very, very special guest. I have described her as devious, but also delightful. She is La Diva de Diamantes, the brains behind La Facción Ingobernables, the incomparable, the one, the only, Amy Rose. Amy, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
It is such a pleasure to have you here. Like we were talking about a little bit before we went on the air, we really want to put a huge spotlight on not just yourself, but on Ring of Honor as a whole, because Ring of Honor has been doing such fantastic business as of late, putting on great matches, bringing back a level of integrity to the sport of professional wrestling, and you have been right at the forefront of that movement, manager of several champions, and probably by the time that pay-per-view is over, you're going to be walking out with your faction having all the gold. And so it's an honor for us, no pun intended, to have you here with us. And I can already see that our fans who are watching us live, they're very happy that you joined us too. So how are you doing today?
Awesome. I'm doing great. I'm super excited. I'm so pumped for 19th anniversary. I cannot wait.
And now, for the fans who may not know who you are, maybe you could give them a little background. How did you start out in the wrestling business?
So I tell a lot of people this, but I grew up in a very religious household. So it was very strict and there wasn't a lot of stuff I got to do when I was young. But every now and then I'd get myself out of some church and I'd watch some wrestling. I'd watch SmackDown, put that on my TV on Thursdays, and I was hooked. I was obsessed with wrestling ever since.
Oh, wow. So who were some of your favorites when you were growing up?
So for me, the ones that really stood out and my absolute favorites when I was a kid were the Hardy Boys and Lita. I was obsessed. I wanted to be the fourth member of Team Extreme so bad.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I mean, yeah, we grew up, us here at Jofo, through the Attitude Era. I can think of a lot of great matches involving the Hardys, involving Edge and Christian, and also involving some people who you know pretty well, that being the Dudley Boys, Team 3D, who you'd eventually find your way to their wrestling school. How did that come about?
So for me, it was working in the independents down in South Florida. I saw something that caught my attention was, you know, there was people down there that were like amazing, always having the best matches on the card. They would always be in there telling a good story. And they just stood out to me. And I realized every single one of those people trained at Team 3D Academy. So I said, all right, I need to step up my game. I need to learn what I'm really doing. And I signed up.
Wow.
And it's funny because it's actually 6 years yesterday is when I walked into Team 3D for the first time.
Yeah, I saw that post on Twitter, and I think you got a great deal too. There it was only $9.99. So
yeah,
I mean that's actually less than what I paid when I trained to be a wrestler here under Jacques Rougeau. So maybe he was kind of more of a carny than Team 3D, but I guess we kind of both found our way. So you actually got to train. 'Cause I know that now the Team 3D Academy, it's I believe it's Bubba and Tommy Dreamer. And we had Devon here on the show a couple of weeks ago. That episode's going to be dropping probably a few weeks from now, but
Nice.
He was explaining how he also has his own wrestling school. I think it's the Devon Dudley Wrestling Academy.
That's right.
But when you were there, it was both Bubba and Devon. Am I right?
Yeah, we had both of them. It was when the school was together, and I couldn't have gotten a better deal. Like you said, I was so excited to learn from two legends, and it's cool because they are so different from each other. So I got the best of both worlds.
So between us and the few fans that are watching us here, who did you like training with more out of the two?
I can't say I liked one more than the other, but they're like my dads. I loved them. They were both so good to me. And that's what I'm saying. Like what I learned from one and the other, two different psychologies completely. And I love it because I'm able to marry both and take it into my career. So like I said, no favorites. I love both of them, but I couldn't have asked for better trainers.
Oh, outstanding. And nowadays we see you more as a manager. But it sounds like when you got into this, obviously wrestling was what you had in focus. Do you feel that maybe being a manager, we're only seeing a part of you, and that there's a lot more you have to offer in the ring that fans haven't had the chance to see as of yet?
So I think there's definitely a lot that the fans don't know as far as my in-ring ability and what I've been working on. But I will say when I first signed up, I actually had no intentions in wrestling. I
Hmm.
wanted to be a manager. My goal was to be
Oh.
the best manager on the planet. And they were the ones that actually told me, hey, if you want to be a good manager, you need to learn how to wrestle. So they encouraged me and they got me in that ring. They taught me up and down, and I'm glad. I'm glad that I did it because being a good manager, you're gonna know more if you're actually able to understand wrestling and understand being in that ring.
Yeah, definitely. And who were some of your inspirations as a manager that you look to when trying to perfect your manager game?
I think there's a lot of fantastic managers, but Sherry Martel is
Mm.
a really big one. And I also just really enjoyed that, like I said, the Attitude Era stuck out to me. I loved the Divas. I loved Terry. I loved I loved having Tori Wilson, Stacy Keebler at
Mm.
ringside. Like those women, even though a lot of people may not think that they were tough, I thought they were badass. I thought they were so cool because they were beautiful and strong.
Hmm. And I mean, that's something that I think a lot of people, maybe they don't necessarily diversify themselves as much, in that they kind of get pigeonholed into one thing that, maybe just being the eye candy or just being good on a microphone. I think that's maybe a common point between us where, I myself as a wrestler, I don't ever want to be one dimensional, just a good promo or just a good look. So I think it's really cool to see that you already have that mindset. And I'm sure that comes from the great training that you had. Another thing I find interesting about your group, La Facción Ingobernables. Am I saying it right,
Yeah,
by the
you
way?
said that really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I was I actually took Spanish for 4 years. En escuela durante 4 años, no aprendí mucho.
Hey,
Uh,
that's pretty good. That's better than a lot of people I've seen.
I'm trying. Like I said, 4 years and in one ear, more or less out the other. But I like the fact that the stable that you have is very diverse. You have obviously Roosh and Bestia and Dragon Lee, from Mexico. Yourself, Cuban American, if I'm
Yes.
not mistaken. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have Kenny King as well. And so
Yep.
I love the fact that you guys are not just a one-dimensional, like a lucha stable or whatever it may be. I think that's really cool to see. I also think it's really cool to see you guys are up against another pretty incredible stable of incredible talents in the Foundation. Jay Lethal, who I've had the chance to be in the ring with. Rhett Titus, who is also going to be joining us here at 7:30 to do one of these lives.
Nice.
Who I had a WWE tryout with at the same
Wow.
time. So he and I go way, way back. In addition to Tracy Williams and Jonathan Gresham, guys who are killing it right now. I think it's a good mix of talent on both sides, and I think that that's something that's really helping to raise Ring of Honor stock. How do you feel about your opposition in the Foundation?
Not for nothing. I do think that they're amazing talent. I think they can wrestle like crazy, but I 100% believe that my guys are going to leave 19th anniversary on top.
Hmm.
So I'm not too worried about it, but I will say I expect war. I expect a really big battle. And if you guys tune in, I know you're going to see some incredible matches.
Oh, I don't doubt it. And one of the great things about this week's 19th anniversary show is that the first hour is also free. So you
Yeah.
can see that no matter where you are on a wide variety of platforms. And then obviously at 9 on pay-per-view, on the Honor Club, as well as on FITE, you'll be able to see the rest of this incredible card, which is just, totally stacked from top to bottom. If you're a wrestling fan of any kind, there will definitely be something on there that you will absolutely fall in love with. Taking it back to the matches that you're involved in, I find it interesting that there's this narrative that's been going on about Tracy Williams being able to potentially walk out of there as a double champion, working, 2 matches on the same card. And I feel that, Kenny King is kind of getting dissed in the process because, hey, no one's talking about the fact that, he's pulling double duty too. You know what I mean?
That's true. They're completely wrong in that. And you know what? He's a 2-time former television champion. So even though Dragon couldn't be here with us, I knew he was up for the task and I knew he could handle it.
And for those who don't know, can you maybe elaborate on what it is that happened to Dragon? I think I heard it was his eardrum. Was that it?
Yes, he is having surgery on his eardrum. You know, he's recovering, he's doing well, and hopefully we'll have him back soon. It's unfortunate, but like I said, we're blessed because we have Kenny King, and I know that he can handle this.
Yeah, Kenny King, I think, is a phenomenal talent. You know, again, I like to compare my skill sets with everybody out there, and I look at him as someone who, you know, very similar. He's athletic as hell. He's a big guy, you know, and he's impressive. So, you know, when it comes down to it, he's also got a lot of personality too. So we're talking about a guy who, call it a 5-tool player, you know, someone who's bringing all of the skills to the party here. I think Kenny King is a can't miss prospect. He's been firing on all cylinders for a long time. You know, a guy that I would watch and be like, wow, you know, I might have to step up my game a bit, you know, if there's guys like this out there. But I think the truth of the matter is that there aren't many like Kenny King. He's really in a class of his own. Can't say enough good about him. So I was going to say, with Dragon Lee, with his injury, was that something that happened in the ring, or was this maybe got into a scrap in the barrio? Like,
you know, I think it was due to wrestling. You know, like you would definitely know, it takes a toll on your body, and after a while, sometimes you just got to get things taken care of.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. It was bad timing, but you know, what else can we do at this time? You know, Kenny King is going to go in there and kick some ass.
Yeah, no, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. You know, especially the tag match also, because I've actually been enjoying what Bestia has been bringing to the table for your group. You know, seeing a veteran like him. I've even seen his stuff in Mexico from the original Ingobernables back in like 2014, 15. I think that's when it started. And to see the way it's infiltrated its way into Ring of Honor, I think it's great. You guys became the top heel stable in no time. And you know, you were the brains behind that. So hats off to you for that. And I just want to know, are there maybe any other surprises that you have in store for these matches? Anything you can let the people in on?
I can't let you have all the secrets, you know, but stay tuned because I promise you guys are going to love the show. 19th anniversary, like you said, stacked top to bottom. So just stay tuned.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be doing my due diligence as a reporter if I didn't ask you that. I didn't think I was going to get much out of it anyways. But, you know, we got to give the people what they want. And I know people have been asking me, you know, what's going to happen there? Well, you know, you got to tune in and see. That's the business that we're in. So out of curiosity, someone like yourself outside of wrestling, what are some of the things that you like to do?
So I'm really big into video games. I play a ton of video games on my time off. That's just something that I personally have always been into ever since I was a kid. So 100% video games.
What's your favorite genre of video game to play?
So I like a lot of different stuff, but one of my favorite games of all time would have to be Pokemon. And I also really like RPGs like Final Fantasy VII, things like that.
Ah, that's interesting. I actually did another podcast here. It was called That 90s Podcast. It's out of the UK, the #1 podcast for wrestling out of the UK.
Wow,
and they
that's
asked me, yeah, they asked me what my favorite, you know, 90s video game was, and I said Final Fantasy. I've played them all. Unfortunately, and I know it's going to get me a lot of heat, I don't really like 7 that much, and I know I'm in the. Oh yeah, I'm in the minority on that one, but I never got 7. To me, you know, I loved 4, 6. I kind of loved like all the even numbered ones. 7 just didn't do it for me. I think that a lot of people see 7. Again, I don't know. It's hard to gauge how old you are. I feel we're maybe around the same age group, but I think a lot of people just like that 7 was the first one that was 3D, and you know, they kind of see it through rose-colored lenses, if you will. No pun intended, Miss Rose.
No, of course. I think, you know, for me, it was my first Final Fantasy game that I ever got to play. I had an older brother growing up, and so he was always the one playing the games. And Final Fantasy VII was the first one that I really got to dive into. So it caught my attention. I fell in love with it, and I played pretty much every single one since then.
Oh, cool. Who is your favorite character in 7?
So it's kind of a mix. I really love Aerith. She was my favorite, but I also really liked Yuffie because I always liked like the spunky, cuter characters. That's always been the one that kind of sticks out to me. Like in the other series, Riku, Selphie, kind of characters like that.
Yeah. I didn't really appreciate anything about 7 until I played Crisis Core on PSP. And it gave the backstory with Zack, and I thought that Zack was an outstanding character,
Definitely.
and even gave the backstory on Sephiroth. So that was where I said, okay, now I kind of get the story a bit more. I get that, Cloud was thinking that he was Zack, and then there was that whole thing with Aerith and what. Well, the game came out the first one like 20 years ago, and the other one, I don't think I'm spoiling anything for people. But no, it's cool to see that you have good taste in video games, in addition to good taste in wrestling. That's pretty awesome. And so, what is your ultimate goal in wrestling? I know you re-signed with Ring of Honor recently, which, I think that's really awesome that they took care of you during the pandemic and whatnot, which is definitely great to see. But long term, do you feel that's going to be your home? That's going to be the place where you build your brand, or do you have, more lofty goals?
I think my goal right now is just to continue to make history. I'm so blessed and happy to be with Ring of Honor. I've already accomplished so much there by becoming the first ever manager in Ring of Honor history to represent our world, television, and tag team champions simultaneously. So for me, the sky's the limit. I just want to keep going. I want to see how far I can take this dream.
And now you mentioned all those championships. There's two notable championships that would be missing from that equation. Obviously, the Pure title, which makes me wonder, do you guys maybe have your sights set on that eventually? And you're a tough one to crack, but here's one that's maybe a little bit more of a softball. It seemed like there were some talks about having a tournament for a women's championship. Would you see yourself as a front runner for that, to bring that gold?
There's room for all kinds of gold in our team. And if we can get it all, then we're going to have it all, because this is Rush's empire and we're going to make Ring of Honor our empire. So I 100% could see some gold in my future.
Well, I definitely think that you're one of the most showcased women on Ring of Honor TV. So it would be a total slap in the face if they weren't to include you in that. And I dare say, if I was a betting man, I'd be putting my money on you to walk out of that tournament with the championship. And I think that would definitely be something a lot of people would like to see. Who do you feel in terms of women? I know Women of Honor, it was starting to pick up steam. Who would you see as your biggest competition from an in-ring standpoint in Ring of Honor?
From an in-ring standpoint, she's a little scary, and I would maybe be a little intimidated stepping into a ring with Maria Manic. Okay. She's a pretty big girl, so that might be a little tough, but I have my ways, and I know that I could definitely pick up a victory.
And I think it's actually her birthday today.
Yeah, happy birthday!
But yeah, definitely that'd be quite a clash of style. Speaking of which, there's not much footage of you out there, but how would you describe your in-ring style? Is it hard hitting? Is it more lucha libre?
I would say it's more of like, not exactly lucha, but still a little more fast paced. I'm also just kind of sneaky in there. Like, I like to go with a lot of pins and kind of catch you when you're not expecting it.
Okay, that's different. Yeah. So yeah, speaking of Lucha Libre, being around Rush and the entire Ingobernables faction, has that maybe made you want to look more into Lucha Libre? Maybe, find out more? Have you learned more about it, the history of the sport?
I've when we were training in the Ring of Honor dojo, my trainers would use all kinds of styles of wrestling. And Lucha Libre is one that definitely stood out to me. And like you said, being around two of the best, it definitely opens your eyes to other opportunities and other styles where it's like, all right, you know what? Maybe I can step my game up. And who knows? Maybe I've been learning some stuff while we've been away. So you guys got to stay tuned.
Yeah, it's definitely important to always be learning. And I definitely think that you'll open a lot of eyes when people see what you're able to do in a ring. I know I'd be excited to see that. And I definitely think that Ring of Honor could benefit from having a stronger female presence. Obviously once everything opens up and, borders are open, I know I'll be one of the first people down there attending events. I do have a connection to a member of Ring of Honor in PCO who has been a bit of a rival to me, a thorn in my side, if you will, on a weekly basis there on his show. But yeah, I know it's great to see, you know, that kind of diversity, and I think adding a little bit of more women into the mix could definitely help to round things out. So for someone who's never watched Ring of Honor, how would you best describe the kind of stuff they're doing now?
I would just say if you like wrestling, if you have interest in wrestling, then Ring of Honor is for you because we are the best wrestling on the planet. When it comes to pure style wrestling, you're going to see the best. But on top of that, it's also, we've got something for everybody. We've got fast paced, hard hitting action. And we've also got a lot of really entertaining talent, people that are more showstoppers. So, what I like about Ring of Honor, at the end of the day, it's pure style wrestling.
Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about this, and thank you to someone in the chat that mentioned this, but there were a lot of rumors going around of Andrade possibly showing up in Ring of Honor, and I gotta say, hey, if that were to happen, I think he would be a perfect fit for your stable. You know, you being a shrewd businesswoman, would you have your eye on a talent like Andrade, the former La Sombra?
We would love to have him, and you never know who might show up.
Well, that's very interesting, and if that would happen, yeah, business would definitely be picking up. And so, you know, beyond that, I wanted to kind of, you know, go back to some of your, you know, other outside ventures. You know, video games being a part of it. I imagine that you know, training is also part of it too. Usually, when I do these interviews, I like to ask, you know, do you have a specific training regimen, a specific diet that you follow, anything like that?
You know, it's just kind of the basics, cardio, weightlifting, and just eating as good as you can. I will say that, you know, it's been tough without the dojo being opened at the moment. It's been difficult to train as much as we used to. We were training about 4 days a week. So now I'd say maybe once or twice a week. So it's definitely been a little tougher. But that's pretty much been my training regimen throughout the pandemic, and I cannot wait to get back in there and do a lot more.
Are things looking on the up and up in terms of restrictions being loosened and allowing for training over there? Is that
Definitely. Things have been getting a lot better recently, especially where we are in Baltimore. The restrictions are starting to die down, and it looks like things are getting better, you know. Just fingers crossed that everything keeps going the way it's going and we can have an amazing summer.
Yeah, it's very much the same here because with us, we were under one of the strictest lockdowns in Montreal, Canada, of anywhere in North America. We even had a curfew, an 8 o'clock curfew put in place where you couldn't be outside past 8, or you could get up to a $6,000 fine. They've kind of gone back a little bit on that. Now it's 9:30, but the same restrictions apply. And also, just about everything was closed. The restaurants are still closed here. Gyms are now finally reopening tomorrow after they'd been closed. Oh, yeah, for a number of months. I've been doing all my training at home. But, you know, you got to find a way. It's like running into a detour and, you know, you still got to get home. That's how I see it. So, you know, where there's a will, there's a way. But yeah, we've had it pretty rough here. And, you know, I myself, 15 years of doing this, never had an injury by the grace of God, you know, no broken bones, no concussions, nothing like that. Never had more than 3 weeks off in wrestling. And that's only when Christmas and New Year's kind of line up, on weekends. But, yeah, you know, been out of the ring for a long time and it's given me a lot of time to reflect and, learn new skills, be able to, you know, be here on Jofo, get to talk to, you know, wonderful people like yourself. So I do feel that, you know, this is going to help wrestling in the long run. Fans, I think, are going to appreciate it more. It's kind of like the old saying goes that you don't know what you got till it's gone. So I think that eventually when things reopen, all these companies will be doing, you know, even better. I think tons of people will be running to the box office to get tickets for the next Ring of Honor event because we've only been able to watch it on TV. And yeah, it's extrapolating some good out of the unfortunate situation that's around us. And so, yeah, I mean, when it comes to your training and the Ring of Honor dojo, maybe you could let the fans know a bit about that. Like, is that, you know, the best place to be training if you're in the Baltimore area or if you've got your eyes set on Ring of Honor? Like, sell the dojo for us.
There's no reason to sell the dojo because it's the best. You know, you're going to learn from some of the best coaches. We have Jonathan Gresham and Will Ferrara in the Ring of Honor dojo teaching you guys the ups and downs. And I consider it more of a finishing school. It's a place for people that are already pretty established, understand wrestling. It's not for beginners. So if you're looking to start in wrestling, definitely not the place. But if you have some experience and you're trying to get yourself to that next level, then it's the perfect place. And hopefully, when the dojo opens, we'll start having tryouts again and bringing in more talent.
Mm-hmm. No, it'd be good to see. And like I said, I think that right now, Ring of Honor, it's great to see that you guys are still offering content, still putting on matches, even though there are no fans in the audience. Guys and girls, still working just as hard as if there were. And, like I said, I've definitely been entertained by the product. And I think that in the long run, the work that you guys put in now is going to pay dividends down the line. Now, I wanted to ask you on a personal note, because you're involved in so many matches on the card. Is that something that's very, very taxing on you? Or, is it something that, is maybe pulling you in different directions because you got to make sure, the world champ is, getting what he needs and the tag team champs and so on and so forth? What's it like being involved in so many different segments and matches?
I think, there's definitely a level of stress because you have to stay focused and you have to keep them focused. La Facción Ingobernable, they can get a little wild sometimes. They can be pretty crazy. So it definitely is a lot of hard work. It's not a walk in the park, keeping those guys in line. But for me, honestly, it's exciting. I love it. The more work I can have, the better. Like, I want to be in as many matches as possible. And I like having a sense of control of being able to help them, because leaving stuff to someone else, it can be a little tough sometimes, especially for me. I like to manage things. I like to have some kind of control. So the more matches, the better. Let's go. I'll do whatever it takes to make sure we win.
Good. And maybe you could tell our fans a little bit about what life is like, in the Ring of Honor bubble, because obviously they just kind of see you guys in front of the camera and, doing what you're doing in the ring or outside the ring. But there's a long process that they've put in place to ensure the safety of their talents. And I think it's wonderful that they do this. Like I said, I know PCO pretty well, and, I see a lot of what gets posted online, and I think the talents do a good job of showing this. But I think it's also great that you guys actually have a health protocol that needs to be followed to ensure that everyone is safe and fine. Can you maybe shed some light on that for us as to what a typical, day is like getting into the bubble and all that?
So, when we get into a bubble, we go straight to the hotel, we go into our room, and we go into quarantine. And once you're in that bubble, you cannot leave. There is no leaving your room. You got to just get all your food delivered to you, and you got to find some way to entertain yourself. So a lot of us end up playing video games. There's definitely a lot of sleeping, and a lot of us work out. A lot of us bring equipment into the hotel room, and we just do what we can.
And how many days are you in the room for?
So I'd say we're in the room for about at least two to 3 days, depending on the taping. But we'll be there, and eventually then we'll go into testing. And then with that testing period, same thing, you'll wait. And as long as you get your results and you're good, then it's off to the show. It's off to perform and make magic. And once you're done, same thing, back to the hotel. So I'm very grateful, and I'm so glad that we follow the protocol, because it's keeping us safe. It's keeping everybody safe. And we've been so lucky. Any kind of outbreak, anything that's gone with, people catching it previously, thank God we were able to catch that before they even got to the bubble. So it's been awesome, and I'm really thankful for them taking care of us during all of this.
Yeah, no, it's very impressive that they do that. And, just it speaks to how much they care about their talent. And, like we talked about, how you had said that you re-signed with them, because they've taken such good care of you guys. And that, to me, as someone who is, still trying to, make my name here in the business, it speaks to me as a performer that, this would be the kind of company that I would want to work for. I've kind of been ignoring the chat stream there, but there have been a few comments that have been coming through and questions. There's one that kind of caught my attention here from I don't know how to pronounce that, but I'm going to say Dowloth. Yeah, that one there.
Okay.
Where he made a comment about as you can see there, most wrestlers today seem to be more about staying at home, playing video games compared to the 90s, when we're going to bars, having wild parties. So that helps them cope better, at least. I thought that was kind of a funny comment. How do you feel about today's generation of wrestlers compared to all the stories that we've heard about, back in the day?
I think there's a mix of both still. I think there's people that follow that old psychology, and there's people that are more new school. And like you said, want to stay home, play video games. I would say I'm kind of a mix of both because even though I do love to stay home and play video games, when we were able to go on the road, definitely enjoyed partying. I definitely had a good time. Sometimes you just want to get lit.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the good days are going to be there again. It's obviously things are going to get better. We got to wait for the world to heal itself, but I am optimistic that once we go through this, it'll be something better. Change can only be achieved through suffering, sadly, but that just means that there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm being told that it's Deoloth is the way to pronounce that person's name, and. They actually brought up another interesting thing here. If you can talk about it if you want, it's maybe a little controversial, but it's about Kelly Klein. Anything that you may or may not want to say about her, it's entirely up to you. You're not under subpoena or anything like that.
No comment on that.
No comment on that. Okay, fair enough. Like I said, I have to do my duty as a journalist to ask these things, to give the people what they want. Yeah, I mean, I think it's been good business all around, and good things ahead of us. I'd like to actually go through the card, including the matches that you're not involved in, and just kind of get your thoughts on it. Maybe some predictions. So starting with the first match on the card, we have Brian Johnson, Eli Isom, LSG, and Danhausen. Danhausen, who I've actually been in the ring with, quite the character. Was in the ring with him, gave him quite a dirty beating, but he actually gave it back to me too. So he's very good and very evil. With that said, what are your thoughts on that match, and who do you think is going to be taking that one?
I think that match is going to be crazy. It's going to be like insane, hard hitting, flying around. Everyone's so different in that match. It's going to be definitely interesting to see. I would say it's kind of 50-50 for me. I would probably be going with Danhausen because he's entertaining. I think he's really funny. But if it really comes down to wrestling and skill, Brian Johnson's the one.
Oh, that's pretty good. I mean, I was on a show with Brian Johnson, before the whole pandemic happened. We were on a show. He did a tour here in Canada.
Yeah.
I saw what he had to offer. I didn't get to get in the ring with him, but I saw what he had to offer, and definitely, a ton of potential there. I would say I'm leaning towards Danhausen too. I know they have a bit of a rivalry, and I think they still have some unfinished business from the last couple of events there. So I would think that if I were a betting man, I'd put my money on Danhausen. Then we also have Dalton Castle against Josh Woods in another match. I think those two matches, if I'm not mistaken, they're going to be on the early part of the show. That'll be on the non-pay-per-view portion, I think.
So I actually think it's going to be the 6-man tag instead of that one.
Oh, okay.
Which is STP versus Mexa Squad.
Oh, it's going to be at 8?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, we were actually going to have Shane Taylor for this, but that one had to be postponed. But we will have him in the future here on Jofo in the Ring. Yeah, definitely. He's been doing a lot of great work as of late. I love the match that he had with Briscoe there at the last pay-per-view event too. Thought they really went all out. So yeah, the card I'm looking at here. So Dalton Castle, who's another person that I've been in the ring with, had a outstanding match with him. I say pound for pound, he was one of the strongest guys, deceivingly strong, that I've been in the ring with, and a lot more durable than people would think, based on what he looks like. But definitely, a lot tougher than what he seems. Him versus Josh Woods here. I know that Dalton, he's been Ring of Honor champion and whatnot, but I think that Woods is actually going to get this done. What are your thoughts on that match?
I think they're both so good. And like you said, very deceiving. You would not look at Dalton Castle with his personality and how crazy he can be. You wouldn't think that he was such a good wrestler, but he's amazing. He's, like you said, one of the strongest.
Yeah.
So I don't think this is going to be an easy one for Josh Woods. I think it's going to be a battle. And I think the only thing that could really get in Dalton's way, he's been really busy lately and he seems a little distracted. But if he can focus and he can get his mind right, I think he's going to leave this match on top.
Mm. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go with Josh Woods on that one. Just my gut feeling tells me that. I mean, love Dalton to death, and like I said, he's tough and he's durable. I love the fact that when I faced him, like, this is a long time ago. This must be going back to like 2013, 2012. And we were just on a show together doing an opening match, almost a dark match, if you will. Nobody knew who either of us were. I was from Montreal. He was from, I think he's from New York. And we just went in there, beat the hell out of each other. And, most of my opponents, I feel they kind of melt when they're in there with me in one way or another. He rose to the occasion, and yeah, he definitely surprised me. But, as much as I love him, I think Woods is going to take that one. Then we have here the next match, which is Mark Briscoe versus Flip Gordon. Both of them are kind of at a bit of a crossroads right now. I'm kind of leaning towards. I think Flip kind of needs it more.
I think Flip might need it more, but I think Mark Briscoe is gonna kick his ass. I think Mark Briscoe is one of the toughest guys in Ring of Honor, so I think he'll walk out of there on top.
Yeah. And, moving on to the next one here, I guess I know what your prediction is going to be here, which is for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships, where Rhett Titus and Tracy Williams are going to be taking on Kenny King and La Bestia del Ring. I mean, I obviously know what you're thinking, and I would agree with you that I think that they are going to walk out of there, Kenny King and Bestia, with the Ring of Honor tag titles. No doubt about it on my end.
100%. You know what? I can go ahead and say I guarantee it. As long as I'm in their corner, it's gonna happen.
Well, that is definitive. So moving on, we have one here where maybe we might be split on this as well. The Ring of Honor Pure Championship, Dak Draper taking on Jonathan Gresham. And I mean, I've seen a bit of Dak Draper. He's got some entertaining videos that I've had the chance to see. I think there's something there, but I think Jonathan Gresham's just on a whole nother level. And I think they're going to have to pry that title out of his cold, dead hands if they want to take it.
I think, honestly, this match might be the match that a lot of people are not expecting, but it's going to be amazing. I've seen what Dak Draper's capable of. I trained with him at the dojo, and I have trained with Jonathan Gresham at the dojo as well. And like you said, he is going to fight to the death to keep that pure title. But if anyone's going to take it from him, if anyone's got the opportunity to, I think Dak Draper's the guy.
Well, I would say, just as hard as he fought to bring back the pure title, I think he'll fight even harder to keep it. And it's going to take a very special individual to be able to get that from him. I almost think that, the pure rules, they just play so well into his wrestling style, and it totally benefits him, as opposed to a normal wrestling match, a conventional rules wrestling match. So I think that he's just mastered the understanding of the pure title rules, and someone is going to have to, play that game of intellectual chess with him to be able to finally get it. It's going to be a great match, and I think the fans will be the winners in that one.
Definitely.
Now, another match coming up here that I know something about both of these individuals because I've been in the ring with both of them is the unsanctioned match between Matt Taven and Vincent. And this one is heated, is personal, is as personal as it gets. And, I've been on a number of shows with these two, wrestled Vincent in Rhode Island on several occasions, been in the ring with Taven in Maine, and had fantastic matches with both of them. I feel that this is going to be one of the ones we're doing our own watch-along show for this, and I think this is one where my expertise, having been with both of them, could maybe add some extra insight, because I feel that Vincent, he's another one of these guys that's durable. That's just you beat him and beat him and beat him, and I really did beat that boy like he stole something from me, but he kept going, and it's he's got a lot of resiliency, and Taven is super technically sound in there. Fun fact, Matt Taven, I tell it to everyone, he kicked me harder than anyone ever has in my career. gave me a spinning kick, caught me right between the eyes. I felt like my soul left my body and was, on its way to heaven. But he's extremely technically sound, and with this being personal, I like Matt Taven and all, but I mean, I'm going to have to say Vincent. I think that he needs this win. He's got more to gain, and like I said, it's personal. So I think that he is really going to be the best version of him that we've seen. What do you think?
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Vincent, he is hungry. He wants this, and he's mad. He's tired of being in his shadows. He doesn't want to be Taven's underling anymore. He wants to prove that he can do this on his own. So I think he's going to do whatever it takes to walk out of there on top.
Yep. I just got a few shout outs there in the comments. Our good friend James from That 90s Wrestling Podcast, who's a big fan of Vincent and the Righteous. Huge fan. And James is someone we're getting him into Ring of Honor now. He's going to be joining us on the watch along, and as will all of his fans and followers and subscribers throughout the UK. The #1 podcast in the UK, That 90s Wrestling Podcast. If you yourself, Amy, don't know about him, you should check him out. I think you'd really like his stuff. It's better than we are. Or as good. But yeah, that match definitely going to be personal between Matt Taven and Vincent. Then we have the World Six-Man Championships between Mexa Squad and Shane Taylor Promotions. What are your thoughts on that match? I'll let you go first.
I think that's so hard because they're so different from each other, and they're all incredible. Mexa Squad have some of the most crazy moves I've ever seen in my life. Like, they can pull stuff off in that ring that I've never even imagined. I could never come up with. Like, they blow my mind every time I watch them. But STP, Shane Taylor Promotions, they're some of the toughest dudes I've ever met in professional wrestling. And if you haven't already seen their first match, I think this one's going to top that.
So, is La Facción Ingobernables, are they on good terms with Mexa Squad? Is there like a peace treaty, a live and let live, or you guys maybe have your eyes on them?
They're cool. They don't have the belts right now, so they're cool.
That's what I was going to say, because if they end up walking out with the belts, I mean, you guys are gold diggers here.
We're family, we're friends, but at the end of the day, if they have what we want, then, stuff's going to happen. So
yeah, friends are friends, but then there's business. No, I know where you're coming from. We're very like-minded in that. So I'm a bit of a businessman myself as well. I kind of see Shane Taylor Promotions being able to get it done in that one. I think that the high flying and the exciting maneuvers and whatnot, they're good. They're nice to see, but good old fashioned ground and pound, that's undeniable.
That's true.
And so I definitely think that I would put my money on Shane Taylor Promotions. We'll see how I do in my predictions when we have our watch along, and we'll see. Maybe we'll do like a little scoreboard. I think we can do that, can't we, Mr. Producer Man?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll have my picks. We'll have Amy's picks, and when we talk to Rhett Titus a little later, we'll have his picks also, not including the match that he's involved in, because that would just be totally biased. It would be unscrupulous. Moving on, again, another match that involves one of your proteges here, the Ring of Honor World Television Championship match. Highly contested here. Tracy Williams against Kenny King. I already know your prediction. And the way I see it, I can't see Kenny King losing, because he'll have to answer to Dragon Lee. He's not going to let him down. That's how I see it.
You couldn't have said it better. He is going to make sure that we hold on to that title. Again, it's unfortunate that Dragon couldn't be there and we got put into a situation, but we're going to make the most of it. And I'm going to make sure, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that we walk out of there with that television championship.
But let me put you on the spot now. If, let's say, Tracy Williams doesn't get it done against Kenny King, do you think Dragon Lee would be willing to give him a rematch?
That's up for negotiation. We have to see if it's worth it, if we want to or not. It's up to him. If he feels like it, then maybe if we're feeling nice that day.
Because I would assume, if Tracy Williams wins, then Dragon Lee has to get a rematch.
That he would definitely need to have a rematch, but it's not even going to happen. I'm not worried about it.
Interesting. Oh, look at that. There's someone who says that they should book me against Kenny in Ring of Honor.
Hey, that could be fun.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, I mean, we'd have to be less amicable, you and I, but like business is business.
Definitely.
Yeah, interesting. Then we have, moving on next, we have a grudge match between Jay Briscoe and EC3. This match that was supposed to take place at the last pay-per-view event, and unfortunately, COVID kind of did a run-in on that one. But now it's going to finally happen. And I think it's great to see. I'm a big fan of EC3 from way back in the day, back when he was still Derek Bateman. There's a blast from the past for those who know. But that match, I think it's really a toss-up. But I mean, I can't imagine EC3 is going to lay down for anybody coming in, making his debut. As much as we talked about how, certain people needed wins and whatnot, I think EC3, he's got to come in and make a statement here. He's got to more or less make an example out of Jay Briscoe to back up everything that, he's been saying leading up to this.
I think, again, I can see what you're saying with that, but Mark, Jay Briscoe is, again, one of the toughest guys on our roster. And not for nothing, I don't really like the way EC3 was disrespectful to him. He won't even look him in the eyes when he shakes his hand. I guess he's trying to play mind games, but I think it's going to come back to bite him.
Well, that's an interesting take. I mean, I'm going EC3 on this one, but you're closer to the situation than I am, so it might just be that Jay Briscoe's toughness, gets it done here. And now moving on to the main event, which is going to involve your man, the champion, Roosh, two-time champion, taking on
very long reigning champion, and he's going to continue to be our champion. He is going to kick Jay Lethal's ass, and I guarantee it's going to be something to see, and I cannot wait.
Well, I've actually been in the ring with Jay Lethal. One of my favorite matches, and I find that he's also someone who's very tough and resilient, a great athlete, a great veteran. I mean, we can't deny that he has the experience edge on Roosh when it comes to this. He has the experience edge when it comes to big match situations, main events, a lot of pressure that's got to be shared by you as well, because let's face it, he's the crown jewel of your corporation here. It's hard. It's hard to bet against Roosh in this kind of a situation, but I kind of feel like Jay Lethal's got his back against the wall, and like if he doesn't get it done here, he'll probably never get another title shot. He'll probably never be champion again. He might be looking at his career on the downslope if he doesn't get this done here. This is the pinnacle of what he's got left to do. That's a lot of pressure. And do you really feel your man is able to be the one to send Jay Lethal out to pasture here and towards retirement?
I love you, Jay Lethal. I think you're amazing. You're a great talent, but it's time. I'm sorry. Hang up the boots, because Roosh is coming for you.
Wow. Well, like I said, if I'm a betting man, I would have to go with Roosh. So that'll be my pick. But my heart is kind of in it for Jay Lethal, because like I said, I don't think that he's at the end of his career. I think he's got a lot of profitable years left. But getting another title shot, getting another opportunity after this, if he doesn't get it done, I don't see that happening. And, I know I don't know Jay that well, but I know that, he's a guy who, he has a certain place. He's carved out his place in Ring of Honor. And if he doesn't get it done here, I don't think he'll ever make it back up. So I guess we'll have to tune in and see what ends up happening. Hey, we got another question here. Oh, this is Ivan. So he hosts Circle of Debate. It's another podcast that we're friends with. They're in California, and they know their Lucha Libre. They know it top to bottom. And saying that Andrade would be a great addition to Los Ingobernables. I guess he wasn't watching the earlier part of the show where I mentioned that, and we talked about it. But I'm going to give him a shout out just the same.
Yeah, and he's right. I agree, and who knows who might just show up. You gotta keep your eyes on the product, gotta stay watching Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I think it would definitely be a perfect fit. That's an interesting question. So he's saying, after being so misused for so long, do you guys think EC3 has something to prove to the wrestling world on Friday? I guess I'll let you answer that one.
I think he does. You know, it's like, imagine being a caged animal and you have all this energy and all this, you know, wildness that you just want to show the world, and you haven't been able to show your talent. You're gonna want to show out and show up. So I 100% expect him to kill it.
Yeah. See, I don't know him personally, but I really do feel that, in WWE there, they kind of did him dirty, not really giving him much of anything. And it was really shocking because, here's a guy who looks like $1 million, who can get it done on a microphone, can be both serious and, entertaining, funny, and is a decent wrestler. And that was the best they could find for him. Yeah, it's really unfortunate because, with that much to offer, I've seen people with far less get so much more. So hopefully this can be the start of EC3 being able to cement a good foothold in a good company that will actually showcase all of his abilities the best they can. Again, I know you're taking Jay Briscoe there, but like I said, I think EC3, I think he needs that victory.
Yeah, I think, there's something to that, but I'm still going to stick with my pick.
Good. So, for the fans that are watching there, maybe you could let them know, how they can get in touch with you, follow you, some of your social media platforms, all that kind of stuff.
For sure. My favorite one is Instagram. I love Instagram. So please, if you guys want to follow me, RumbleBunny777. Same thing on Twitter. Not one that I use as much, but I still enjoy some Twitter. But those would be the two places where you guys can reach out to me. And if you have any questions, any bookings you guys want to hit me up for, rumblebunny@icloud.com.
Well, we would definitely love to have you back as a guest at some point. So, we'll be hitting you up. If you want to shoot us a follow, you can do that as well at Jofo in the Ring. You can also follow me. That's not just to you, but that's to everybody out there watching. You can follow me at Jeremy Prophet on Twitter, at The Real Jeremy Prophet on Instagram. And you can also check us out every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. on YouTube. That's when our episode goes to air. And you never know, you might want to subscribe because we might have these live events on short notice, just like we had today with Amy Rose, happening anytime, anywhere. So you want to be subscribing to Jofo, hit us with a like, hit us with a subscribe, and we will provide you with the very best content. Before we go, anything else you want to say to anyone out there who's maybe on the fence about whether to order the Ring of Honor pay-per-view or not?
Do it. You won't regret it. It's going to be absolutely incredible, and you will be thanking me later. So make sure that you guys get that pay-per-view.
Well, Amy, it's been an enlightening experience having you on here. I cannot thank you enough. And I do hope we get the opportunity to do this again. And for everyone out there, I encourage you all to check out Ring of Honor this Friday. It's their 19th anniversary pay-per-view. The first hour from 8 to 9 is going to be free. You can see it just about anywhere. And then you can go on the Honor Club. You can go on FITE TV. You can order the pay-per-view to see all these incredible talents in action. And you can also check out our watch-along that we're going to be doing Friday at 8. I hope you all tune in. So for myself, for the lovely Amy Rose, I thank you all for joining us. This has been Jofo in the Ring, where wrestling is life.